Okay, we start out, we have the include standard library and include string, and then we initialize all of our functions right here. And then here's the given structure that you gave us. And then here's the pointer synonym for that. And then we go into main and we initialize choice. So that's what the user inputs. So what they want to do. And then the if else statements for each one, whatever they choose for input, load, search, and delete. And then next we have the input function.
All right, that's me. For the input function, we made a character last name and character first name. That was to help replicate what we needed to do to input the first name and the last name. We also have the ID and the age variables, which are required. And then we use the file pointer and assign that to the person.csv file with write capabilities. And then the format that we put it in, and you see in the fprintf statement. In our for loop we allow the user to go through 20 times if they make that decision and enter the ID, last name, first name, and age of the person. After that, we close the file.
And you could show the file real quick.
Okay. And then here's the file with all the names that you gave us.
For load, first off, we have to, again, initialize the file pointer in the opening file using those statements right there. And then for variable initiation, we use sum for like the total amount of age, float average to have a floater point variable, and then float count for the amount of times the while loop runs through. And then for our linked list variable, we used a char list right there. And then we used for the while, we used the fget statement with list as a variable while it's not null. And then we allocate space for from person node. And then right here we set the ID, last name, first name, and age for using the new variables we put in. And then right there is a statement for the structure, setting it to our global head. And pretty much here we had to start all over, do that again, and then with the while statement, every time it went through, it counted one, and we added the age from each one to the sum. And once that was over, we found the average age by using average equals sum divided by count, and then we use a print statement to print out the age. I'll do search. The search statement, we used again the local variables for integer ID. The L stands for local here, and then the char last name and first name, and then the count for amount, which counts the amount of times it finds a ID with this ID or anything with the same thing. And then here's a user prompt for the choice on which it wants to do, whether it's age, last name, first name, or ID. And we use a switch case statement. First one is the age. We'll go through, try to find it. And then the second one is last name. Third one's first name. And the fourth one is ID. And then at the end, it's an if-else statement. If the count is 0, obviously no records are found. In the else statement, it'll tell you the amount of records are found.
All right, and then for the delete function, we should have two pointer struct functions to point the deletion to head, then previous to null. And then we clarified pretty much the same variables we did in our load function. ID, capital D, stands for ID deletion. So that's what we're going to use to search for a delete. So we had a sum variable equals 0, float average, and float count. X. Then we initialize the file pointer again. We have a print statement, and then while loop, which starts the while loop and it creates an if statement, and if the ID searches with the input from the user, and there's a break, and then it puts the previous equal to the delete, and then delete is equal to delete the next. And there's no if statement. If no records are found, prints no records found. Else statement that deletes the account chosen by user, and if the count is not the head, which is the first input of the linked list, then it searches through the accounts chosen by the user for deletion, which is the else statement. Then we have a printf line, record deleted, struct node again, deletes the pointer, or del ptr is the deletion pointer, and it points it to the head. And then we open the file, and then we have to run the average again after deletion, which is the same thing we use for the load function. And then we close. We close that loop. Average equals sum divided by count. It's the same thing. Then we use the print statement for average of age after deletion.
And then our final function was the print list function, and we started with the struct node that was a point print referencing to the person node. And then we had a header statement that was given in a format, the ID, last name, first name, age. And then we started a while loop to do the printing statement that would continue down the list to print all the names in the list. And then an if statement that would end the ID if it was 0. And then that would end the while loop and then the whole program.
Okay. We can read the program. Option 1 is where you can move in 20 names. We're gonna skip over that. And then next, it's 2 is to load all those names that you inputted. So here's all those names and ages and IDs, and the average is 27.9. And we can search. We can choose whatever we want to search by, age, last name, or first name. Just do age and search for age 60. And there's 1 record found. And then delete. Dougie, we do that for user
And do like number 1.
Okay.
And then show the